Thank you. John, will you stand? John Phillips did his talking, but he didn't tell you he was single. Some women are praying for a husband. Here's your answer right here. You ain't got to pray no more. He got his house all paid for. He got 2 or 3 cars. I'm not going to tell you that he gives a big retired pension every month. Got a wardrobe full of clothes. He's a widower. You don't have to worry about no wife finding nothing out. She's rested. You don't have to give an account till you get to heaven. The Bible said until death do us part. So when he left her in Inglewood, he's now there. Thank you. And before I talk, Reverend Eagles, will you stand? Did y'all know that man is singing? Wouldn't you like to have something singing to you tonight like that? All you women out there, boy, he can sing.
You're gonna get us all in trouble.
Well, I'll tell you about all the single men that's not already committed. See, I almost messed up. That's what you don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't talk at all. All men in here who are single, will you stand? All single men. Now, women, make sure that's who you look at. Don't you look at somebody else's husband. Only look at the single. I was in the church not too long ago, and the preacher said he was praying for me to get a wife. And I saw this lady sitting there, and I kept telling him how I admired her. I said, that's the kind of woman I want. He said, yeah, Green, that's my wife. So be careful now what you say. Let me just do this quickly. Let me just do this real quickly. They told me to do a few things, but I want to hear some singing. I want to hear some singing. I'm down at the mortuary every day with Queen Bee. Amen. I spend a whole day there. I spend a half a day talking to the dead. My family, every night, somebody calling me who's in trouble and who needs some money, and they just worry me to death. And I just one of those kind of people, I like to talk. I have to talk. So I go down to the mortuary in the morning and talk to the dead people. I tell them everything my family said, and I ain't heard nothing no more. I know my business ain't in the street. My business is in Inglewood. And I spend half a day with the dead and a half a day with the living. I am there with Mr. Curtis Simpson, and I go every morning early, and when I finish with the dead, I go in his office. Because I know he's still alive. I don't go in the prep room. And before I say anything else, be careful. If you go to Simpson's, be careful. Don't you close your eyes down there. You know, sometimes you get tired and you want to rest. They so busy down there, they grabbing anything with their eyes closed. So don't go down there tired. You better be wide awake. I sort of dozed off and I felt some air blowing. And they were carrying me to the prep room. I said, I'm already prepped. So I go to his office, and when he comes in, he said, hey, good morning, Reverend Green, how are you? I said, fine. Did you have breakfast yet? I said, no, I'm in a hurry. He said, let me get you breakfast. I said, well, I think I'll stay a few more minutes. And then he ordered breakfast. Then I talked all morning. Come noontime, he said, Reverend, it's time for lunch. I said, but I got to go. He said, well, I just ordered this lunch. I said, well, I got a few more minutes. Then I have lunch. Then I sit to 5 o'clock. He said, well, Reverend, when did you say you were going? I said, I got to get out of here. He said, but I ordered dinner. I said, well, I stay a few more minutes. And that's how I spend my day, giving food 24 hours. The only thing that sort of mixed me up, last week, I had a ham sandwich and a bottle of chocolate milk. And I put it in the freezer. You know, they have a freezer down there for food and a freezer for somebody else. And I didn't know that. I put my ham sandwich and milk in the freezer with the other person. And I'm still trying to figure out when I went back, somebody ate my sandwich. And I'm trying to figure out who was it. Because that other person laying in there wasn't supposed to be able to eat. But somebody ate my sandwich. Let me just share these few little stories and then I'm through. The first story I want to tell is about money. And that is that a $100 bill and a dollar bill wind up in the Treasury Department. And the $100 bill looked over to the dollar bill and said, man, where have you been? I haven't seen you nowhere I've been. And the dollar bill said, well, where have you been? He said, oh, I've been there. The $100 bills, I've been to Africa, I've been to Europe, I was in Monte Carlo, I stayed in Las Vegas, but nowhere have I seen you. He said, now man, tell me where you been. He said, I ain't never been nowhere around those gospel programs. The dollar bill said, I only been in the churches with the gospel program. I didn't get to go where you go. And the next thing is, there was a funeral service, and they were preaching about the Lord give it, and the Lord take it away. The Lord give it, and the Lord take it away. And he kept saying that, and the lady was up there that had deceased, and all of a sudden this man started just boo-hooing. And so they came, and the nurse got him and carried him out, and then they brought him back in, he started hollering. The more the preacher said, the Lord give it, and the Lord take it away, the more he started to hollering. Finally, somebody touched him and said, what's the trouble? Did you know her? Did the Lord give her to you and take her away? He said, no. What I was howling about, the Lord gave it, but Uncle Sam took mine last week. He the one took it away. That's who took mine away, not her. Then, last but not least, we have to talk about heaven, making your arrangements. I was down at the funeral home. I love going down there because you learn a lot. Some of you need to go down there. Amen. It's an outing. You can go down there and go in the prayer room. They'll show you how you're going to look later on. They had me looking 18 in Spanish. I didn't want to go, but I didn't know that you're supposed to watch. You know that makeup they put on those people? It dries up. That's not regular makeup. And somebody had nerve to come down there and try to take a bottle of it. And she went home and they had to take her to the hospital to chip the makeup off her face. That's what she got for trying to take a bottle of it. Amen. But I went down there, they dressed me up, and I looked 18 in Spanish. And then I had to go in the other room. So I went in where they were doing the pre-meets. And this lady came in and she said, I want to make my pre-meet. And she sat down and said, yes, what do you want to do? She said, oh, the first thing I want 3 wigs. The lady said, 3 wigs? She said, yeah, there ain't no wig shop in heaven. She said, well, what color do you want? She said, I want to look like Doris Hemphill. I want a blonde wig first. Then I want to look like somebody else. She said, and after I get the wigs, she said, then I want to order 3 limousines for my family and 1 for me. The lady said, 3 for the family, I can understand, but honey, why do you need a limousine? She said, I want a Simpson limousine because Cassetta George said she's going to walk around heaven all day, but I'm going to ride in a Simpson limousine. I can't do all that, boy. She said, well, why do you want why do you want the dinner? Why do you want the short-rib dinner? She said, because Prez Blackman said that Mother Jones is closed on Monday, and I want to make sure I got my meal already set for me. The next thing, she was talking about all of the robes and all the things she was going to get to heaven. And then she said, I want to tell you about the lady at my church. Said she's coming down to make arrangement. Said, well, what is your name? She said, well, last Sunday she sings in the choir. And the choir asked her to sing. And she got up, and this is what she said. When he calls me, I will answer. I'll be somewhere listening for my name. Mother said, well, what name is she going to answer to? She got 5 husbands. When he called her, what name is he going to use? She got 5 husbands. What name is she going to answer to? And then I'm going to almost speak through with this one more, but I want to warn the women sitting in here about telling your girlfriend about how good your husband is. Then you cry when somebody take your husband. Don't you get on the phone telling nobody how good he is and all the good things. Do you know somebody will fall in love with your husband listening to you? And then you wonder what happened. And don't allow nobody come talking about she gonna help clean your house and she ain't cleaning her own. She wanna come over and help you clean, but her house ain't cleaned up. And don't let nobody come with no shorts on in your house. Make sure she has a long dress. Because the way they dress it now, it look like blouses. I ain't seen no dresses like that. And then they have nerve to try to pull a blouse down. You can't pull a blouse down. That was a blouse when you bought it. Amen. One of the lady passed me and the preacher was talking. And the lady passed us and we looked and the preacher said, Brother Green, did you see that? I looked at him, I said, did you see that? He said, yes, Stevie, wonderful to see that. Last but not least, if, 2 words are very important. And I discovered that in my life. If I am. What do you mean? All right. If I could talk like Prez Blackman, I'd be on the radio. If I could dress like Queen Bee, I would. I got to take that back. I got to take that back. That don't sound right. I got carried away on that note. See, when you're rushing, you may say the wrong thing. Gotta take that back. No, if you women could dress like, that sounds better, don't it? All right, if you women could dress like Queen Bee, if you could sing like somebody, if you could do that, then life would be so good. If you could preach like Pastor Pomona, amen. If you could preach, if you could sing like Nady Conner did in my father's house. When Nady get through singing that, you feel like you're in heaven until you walk outside, amen. Then you realize you got to go back in that neighborhood, amen. Nady, how they can sing. And last but not least, what is your account? How does your account stand with God? Amen. Amen. Now, I was in the church and a lady got up and the lady said, I'm going to sing. What could I do if it wasn't for the Lord? And mother stood up and said, honey, you don't have to sing. You couldn't do nothing. Just sit down. You couldn't do nothing without the Lord. Sit down. Then another minister came real quick, and he was saying, I finished Harvard, I got my GED, I got my this, I got my that. And they looked at mother, they said, Mother, are you impressed? She said he talked about his DD and EE, but I want to know how did he get his GOD? His God. Amen. And so it pays to really know the Lord. Last but not least, it's a lady that went to the dentist, and she was having her dental work done, and she was talking to the dentist, and he said, every time you come in here, you talk about the spirit, the spirit. I ain't never seen no spirit. She said, no, I never seen it either. He said, well, how do you know there's a spirit? She said, because I feel something. I feel something. He said, feel what? I don't know what you're talking about. She took her hairpin out. And when he turned around, she jabbed. He said, ow! She said, did you see it? You felt it, but you didn't see it. That's what we're talking about. And last but least, what is your account? I heard a lady stand up and say this, and it was really good. Stand, two short things, standing on the word. There was a fire, and this young boy's mother left him there, and when the fire started, he was locked in the house, and he went downstairs, and they couldn't find him, and the mother come running home, and she was looking for him, and they couldn't find him. He went down in the cellar, and the fire was upstairs. And so she went around the house, and she kept saying, George, George. And all of a sudden, she got to a window, and George said, Mama, here I am. He said, well, Mama said to George, how did you get to where you were? He said, I remember Grandmama said, when you're in trouble, stand on the word. And I went and got the Bible, and I'm standing on his word. And that's why today that I know that he can save. Last but least, how does your account stand with God? What do you mean, my account? A lot of you brag about how much you have in the bank, but you better start feeling how much in the bank you have with God. Amen. Every time you bless somebody, every time you go to Press Grand and give them some money, that's putting some money in your account with God. Amen. Every time you smile and treat somebody right, that's putting money in your account. Every time you backbite and backstab, that's taking money out of your account. Oh, but if you keep putting money in your account, and you keep putting money in your account, when that great day comes, and one lady I know living right here in Los Angeles, I was talking to her about when the judgment day comes. She said, well, Reverend Green, I want to be there when they open up the book. She said, but I know everybody's business. They ain't got to open up no book. I can tell Jesus everything they're doing. But in your account, if you keep putting money in your account, that day when we all get to glory, and Jesus opened up the book, we don't want him to say insufficient funds, that everything you've done you took out of the account, but we want him to say that the account is acceptable. Bring them on in. They're acceptable. The account is done. I've paid my dues. I've loved. I've given charity. I've helped folks. I've done things, and now I can sit around the throne and hear Jesus say, account, you're all right. And those that didn't live right, he's going to say insufficient funds.
That's it.
The one and only Dr. William Green. Oh, come on, give him a hand. Give him a hand. Dr. William Green. Did you enjoy it? Well, give him another hand. Dr. William Green. All right. Miss Brandon, Cynthia Brandon, you didn't think I was. Please stand up. Please stand. Please stand. One of Queen's longtime friends, we were together on Friday night.